Word to your mother. Today I'm going to show you 8 fragrances that grew on me. So the more I wore them, the more I loved them. Stay tuned to find out what they are. What do you mean, why 8? Well, that's because 8 symbolises balance and harmony, which is exactly what I need after that fucking ISO-E super video. That I'm shitting you. It's basically because I couldn't find 2 more to make it to 10 and I didn't want to cut it down to 5. Word to your mother. My name's Steve, this channel is FRAG30 and thank you for tuning in. I love you for doing so. Today I'm going to share with you 8 fragrances that grew on me. So the more I wore them, the more I liked them. And it doesn't necessarily mean I hated them when I first got them. Most of them I sort of thought were at least okay, and some of them were sort of, I thought, yeah, were quite nice. But basically, the more I wore them, the more I liked them. So let's get into this. The first fragrance I want to talk about is actually, might seem a bit of a surprise initially to some people, but when I first wore it, I didn't quite get it, and that fragrance is Armani Code Profumo. Now, I love this fragrance, and I even featured it in my Safe to Blind Buy, so I'm not saying I didn't like it when I first wore it, but the first time I wore it was in a department store. I tried it on just as a test, kind of smelt it there, and then I thought it was nice, but I just didn't get it. I kind of thought it's just like a richer, kind of sexier version of Armani Code, and I sort of walked off, and after about an hour I smelt it again and I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. That's exactly what it is, and that's the point. It's like a richer, sexier version of Armani Code, and Armani Code was a banging, solid fragrance, and they've just made this sexier. So that's exactly what it is. So I basically, when I first tried it, I missed the point, but kind of just wearing it for the kind of like an hour or two, I just got it, and it does improve on the dry down as well. So yeah, this one didn't take long to grow on me. It took like an hour or two, but yeah, that's it really. From the first time I sprayed it, I didn't get it, but then just wearing it, I got it, and now I love this fragrance. It is an absolute banger, Armani Code Profumo. So the next fragrance is in my collection because of Jeremy Fragrance. I blind bought it because of one of his videos, and that is Prada L'homme. Now, this fragrance I blind bought because of one of the videos that he did with Lara. Now, I'm Team Lara. She's always been my favorite of Jeremy's female guests on. I love Lara. She's an absolute babe. She's a babe! So, yeah, basically the video in question, I can't remember exactly what it was called. They were looking at like sexiest fragrances or whatever, but this Prada Lom wasn't actually like a featured fragrance in the video. Jeremy hadn't planned to talk about it. He had 5 fragrances, but he was wearing this fragrance, and she smelt it on him, and she was just like, oh, that's just so nice, I love it.
I want to give out one honorable mention, a fragrance that Lara also really likes, and that is Prada L'homme. What can you tell me? Since today?
Because he's wearing it and I really love it.
So they then made it an honourable mention in the video. So after that, and he kind of did his usual kind of, you know, it's an office fragrance, it's like, you know, clean and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that sounds amazing. It's a great fragrance that I can wear for work. And Lara thinks it's sexy, so I'm in. So I blind bought this. And when I first smelt it, I liked it, but I was kind of like, I mean, it was probably my first iris-based fragrance, and it's quite iris heavy, and it was just a bit of a shock. I kind of blind bought it, and I smelt it, and I was like, okay, it's nice, but I don't kind of get it. I don't know why Lara was kind of falling for it. I didn't. It's like, and I was sort of a little bit disappointed and a bit gutted, but then I sort of soldiered on, and I sort of wore it, and basically, once you start wearing it, you can really appreciate it. It is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance, this. And I've done over half the bottle. I love it. It's a great office fragrance, nobody says it, but it is kind of sexy. You could wear it on a date as well. It's really clean. And it is by far my favorite sort of iris-based fragrance. I have tried the Dior Hommes of this world and the flankers, but this is still my favourite. I've not tried many of the flankers of Prada Lom though. I think I might have tried a couple in store, but yeah, by all means comment and let me know if you think any of the flankers are better. I don't think I've tried the intense version, so let me know if you think that's worthwhile. But yeah, so that was Prada Lom. Next up is a fragrance that I blind bought last year, and I did it. It's not long after I'd started YouTube, so I don't know if it's like October, November last year sometime. And that fragrance is from Burberry. It's not Burberry Touch, it's not Burberry London, it's Burberry Brit Rhythm Intense. Now, when I first got this, I liked it. I really liked it, so I'm not saying I didn't like this fragrance. I liked it. I bought Burberry Touch not that long before this. I sort of really liked Touch, so then I started looking at more into the sort of House of Burberry, and this sounded really good. So I bought this, and after I kind of got this, I preferred Touch, and I wore Touch quite a bit kind of last autumn. But then I started wearing this more, and it's just so grown on me. It's just so grown, and at the end of last year I featured it in fragrances that I would buy again, and this is one of them. It's just totally grown on me. I feel like it's a bit of an underdog. It doesn't get much love, but I really, really enjoy it. It's a fragrance designed by committee because it's a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy, a little bit clean, a little bit fresh, a little bit powdery. It's kind of got so much kind of going on, but for me it does work. So yeah, it's not, I mean, the only time I've sort of misfired on this is I did go too heavy once when I went out with the wife for a day out, actually with the family. And in the car, on the way there, we were in the car for like, I don't know, an hour and a half. And I did sort of choke her out a little bit because I went a bit too heavy. So, but other than that, I love this fragrance. It's just a really nice, clean, slightly sweet, slightly spicy fragrance. I really like wearing it to work. Wearing a shirt and chinos and things. I think it's a great work sense, and I'm really, really looking forward to wearing this this fall, this autumn. So yeah, I had to kind of feature this. This is like an underdog story, and I love it. It's Burberry Brit Rhythm Intense. Next up is a fragrance from my favourite house, and regular viewers of my channel would know my favourite house is Bvlgari. Now, the fragrance I'm talking about is Bvlgari Man Wood Essence. Now, the first time I smelt this, I was in a department store and I just kind of tried it, and there was, I'm gonna have a little spray. There was something about it. I was really surprised because I was expecting like this really sort of dry, woody fragrance. I thought it was gonna be something akin to like oud wood or something like that. But it really confused me when I first wore it. I sort of sprayed it and walked away, and I was kind of like, it's really odd. It's like really sweet. The benzoin's really strong in this, and it's kind of really sweet and kind of almost bubblegummy. And I was a bit confused about it. I didn't know what I made of it. I was kind of walked away and I was like, do I really like that? And I kind of wore it for the rest of the day and kept smelling it. And I was just really curious. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But there was something about it. There's nothing else like it in my collection. So I ended up ordering it online. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna give it a go. And it came, and I wore it, and the more I've worn it, the more I really like it. This is just straight up my street. It's kind of sort of woody and manly, yet from the benzoin, it's got some sweetness and some mass appeal. It doesn't get the love it deserves in my opinion, but I've worn this loads. I've worn it in the office. I've got some quite positive reactions, and I actually get some fairly solid performance. It doesn't project loads, but it lasts quite a long time. But I did get noticed when I was in the office wearing it, so it does project enough. And I really, really enjoy it, and I've done over 1/3 of the bottle on this as well. So, and I would totally buy this again. I really enjoy it. So yeah, that's Bvlgari's Man Wood Essence. Next fragrance I'm going to talk about is from the house of Coach, and it is Coach for Men Platinum. Oh, hello. It's like I've been teabagged by a fragrance. Anyway, yeah, this fragrance, I've had a bit of a funny relationship with this fragrance. I first smelt this in an airport, and I tried it on a sample strip, and I just kept smelling it. I kept kind of going back. I really enjoyed the opening, that sort of pineapple, and there was just something really pleasant about it. I kept literally smelling it and kind of going back to it, and I thought, this just really kind of lured me in. So I ended up ordering it online. I thought, oh, I've got to kind of give this a go. So I ordered it online, and when it came, and I sprayed it, it basically didn't smell how I remembered. I was kind of like, oh, and it smelled a lot more like Sauvage than I remembered. So I was a bit gutted, and I started thinking about like selling it almost straight away. Literally, I kind of got it and smelt it, and I was like, oh, that's really quite Sauvage-y, and I'm not a huge Sauvage fan. I was really gutted and disappointed. And then I literally started thinking, well, how much could I sell it for? You know, is it much of a loss? And I thought, fuck it, I'll wear it. We'll give it a few wearings and see how I get on. And the more I've worn it, the more it sort of grew on me. I sort of, once it dries down, it's really nice and pineapple-y, and then it goes through a kind of sauvage phase, and then the vanilla kicks in. It starts becoming like more like a creamy sauvage, because the vanilla is sort of quite prominent. And I've ended up wearing it loads, and I've worn it to work loads. I took this when we went on holiday to Disneyland in Paris, and it's just a really solid, lovely, kind of versatile fragrance. The only thing I would say is there's a couple of times I've probably gone a bit too heavy on it, and the vanilla towards the end of its life, so I get sort of quite good longevity out of this, but towards the end of its kind of life, at the sort of 6-7 hour mark, the vanilla becomes a bit sort of synthetic. So a couple of times when I've gone a bit too, like now, oh, that is absolutely delightful. But when I've gone a bit too heavy on a couple of wear-ins, at the end of the life, when the vanilla starts getting a bit synthetic, it sort of starts making me a bit, kind of almost gives me a headache and a bit choky. So I've almost kind of gone full circle, and I've almost overworn this or worn it too much and start thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm going off it now. But I think it's just because I've over-applied. I think with this, I've certainly found that less is more. If I kind of don't make sure I don't go too heavy, I just then sort of really enjoy it for what it is, which is a really nice, versatile, clean, creamy, kind of creamier version of Sauvage. God, I'm really enjoying that now. God, I need to wear this again quite soon. So yeah, that is Coach for Men Platinum. Next up is another fragrance from the house of Coach. So by default, you must know what it is. That is Coach for Men, the original EDT. Now, I don't know what it is about Coach. Clearly there's a kind of ongoing theme, because there's a similar sort of story to this. I smelled this one in an airport, and again, I just really enjoyed the pear notes that was on the strip. I really enjoyed the pear, and I kept going back. And this is so cheap now. When I got back, I ordered it online for about £22. And when it came, and I wore it more, the only thing I didn't like, well, this is not that I didn't like, I thought it was really safe, and it is just a really nice fragrance. But what I did notice more when wearing it is that I get more of a leathery note from the suede. There's a suede note listed in there, so I get a leathery accord is what I should say. And nobody else mentioned that, so that kind of caught me off guard. But what I will say with this, so I started then wearing it, I think it's just a really safe shower gel kind of fragrance. But I really enjoyed this. This has grown on me loads. Probably of all the fragrances that you're going to see in the list, this is probably the one that's grown on me the most. And I've actually dented the bottle quite a lot. I've done probably a quarter of this, and I've not owned it that long. I've actually worn it quite a lot. I've just found it to be a really safe, versatile kind of work office fragrance. But that said, I've also worn it in the evenings, going out on the weekends. It works really well in sort of slightly warmer weather, but you could wear this all year round, definitely in a climate controlled environment. So I really enjoy this. I'm gonna end up smelling like a brothel, but yeah, I love that pear note. The only thing I'd say is that pear note does die down quite a lot, and I wish it stayed a lot stronger and hung around that pear. I really enjoy that note, but it doesn't, it does die down a bit. But yeah, I mean, this is very shower jelly, very safe, but it's really grown on me, and I regret not getting it sooner. I really enjoy this, and it's a great dumb reach. And yeah, so it's Coach for Men. Next up is a fragrance that I featured in a lot of videos, so a lot of you will recognize it. It is Uomo from the house of Xenia. Now, when I first smelled this fragrance, I liked it. I thought it was really nice. I really enjoyed it, and I put it in my top 10 fragrances for summer, the kind of cheap edition, and it was fairly low down in that top 10 list. And if I did that list again, I would definitely bump this up the list. It'd be within the top 5, if not the top 3. It is a lovely fragrance. When I first smelled it, I thought it was really nice and definitely worth that kind of top 10 list. But the more I've worn this, the more it has grown on me. I can kind of really appreciate it as this really clean, fresh fragrance that's fairly unique. It's not got too much kind of citrus in your face, which is kind of nice because a lot of summer fragrances do. It's got this really nice sort of clean softness to it, so you can wear it kind of at the gym. I've done a gym video. You can wear it in the office. I featured it in my fragrances that I was taking on holiday because I wore it in the evenings. going out because it's kind of still got some sex appeal. So it's so versatile, but it's also great value. I got this for £15. So this is so grown on me. I think for the money, everybody should have this in the collection. That is Xenia's Uomo. And the last fragrance on the list is a fragrance that I featured. I've done a full review on. I've also featured it in my top 10 summer fragrances, and that fragrance is Azzaro's Chrome Sport. This is a great summer fragrance. Again, I featured it in that top 10 summer list. I think it was fairly high on the list, but I tell you what, I've probably worn this the most this summer. You can see I've actually dented it. I've done about over a third, I would say. And I've actually worn this more than my beloved Mercedes-Benz cologne. This summer, this got more wear-ins. Apparently this smells like Versace's Man of Fresh. I've not done an exact side-by-side. I've smelt them separately, and it certainly smells familiar to me, and they certainly have some similarities. But this is such a great summer fragrance. It's just this burst of kind of lemony citrus. It does remind me of Mercedes-Benz cologne, actually, but this is kind of more lemon based, but that's kind of a bit more mandarin. But I think they've got some similar qualities, but I just love it. I started wearing it as just a kind of a nice summer freshie, and the more I wore it, the more I appreciated how good it is and how kind of fresh it is, how clean, how sexy, and it's just a delight. I've really enjoyed wearing it. Performance isn't great, so it's probably also why I've kind of made a big dent in the kind of in the bottle, but I really love this fragrance, and again, it's great value for money. You can get this for like 20 odd pounds. So yeah, this has definitely grown in my expectations, and like I say, it was probably the fragrance I've worn the most this summer, and that says a lot. So yeah, definitely this is a grower, not a shower. That's Xaro Chrome Sport. So that's it. There's 8 fragrances that grown on me. By all means, please comment below and let me know what fragrances kind of, grew on you. What took more than just one wear-in, or, kind of what, is there any fragrances that have completely done a U-turn? Is there any fragrances that you've worn too much and it's gone the other way? You actually like them, but you've sort of killed them off by wearing them too much. By all means, comment and let me know, because I do kind of enjoy reading your stories, and also it gives me ideas for other fragrances that I might want to purchase. So, when you've got an addiction, you need some people to fuel it. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, or you've got something out of it. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Well, most of you. Some of you a little bit less than others, because you're sometimes a bit mean to me. But other than that, I do love you all. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one. Much love.